years since his election, the governor's wealth has grown exponentially, so much so that he can now afford to contribute up to Kenya shillings 1 million in a single RMB. Indeed, in one of the church functions, the governor was captured bragging that whereas he didn't have the resources when he first died, Rakomi to loosely translating this time, I have enough resources. Number 2 of violation, that is number A, is on or about 31st August 2023, the governor engaged in gross violation of Articles 10, 183, 201, 207, and 28 of the Constitution, and Section 102, 109, and 110 of the PFM Act 2012 by launching a program dubbed Equalizer Kazi Mutai Initiative and drawing county funds towards initiative without a legislation to anchor the initiative, public participation, prior approval of the county assembly and the control of budget, and prior approval of the budget and appropriation approval. Number 3, the present and former county executive committee members and chief officers have variously reported coercion by the governor to make financial allocations for governor's own use from the funds allocated to the respective departments, which funds they were required to remit through the governor's personal assistance. Number 4, violation of Article 201A, D, E of the Constitution of Kenya 2010 on principles of public finance management, and Article 226 as read with Article 227 of the Constitution by presiding over glaring irregularities evidenced by number A, irregular award of contracts and evasion of accountability, willful interfering in the procurement process and the award of tenders. Number C, skewed tender awards to various contractors at inflated rate and in collusion with fraudulent contractors and suppliers. Number D, irregular implementation of various programs in the county. And E, intentionally and negligently presiding over massive theft of county public funds as evidenced by the Auditor General's report for the financial year ended 30th June 2023, which raised red flags over various projects. Number 5, in the first charge is on 15th August 2023, the governor compensated the victims of Londiani accident from the county emergency fund to cover up for the funds raised by the public and misappropriated by a committee he had formed to steer the fund drive, and without a cogent explanation of how the funds publicly raised for the victims had been expended. Honorable members, evidence of the governor's engagement, connivance, and complicity in the aforementioned acts of misappropriation, misallocation, and illegal drawings of county revenue and county finances is to be found from Roman number 1 to Roman number 13, as indicated in page 8. Charge number 2 is misappropriation and or abetting misappropriation of public raising funds. Number 1 is on various dates between 4 July 2023 and 9 July 2023. The governor grossly violated the provisions of Article 10, 73, and 75 of the Constitution and Sections 29 and 34 of the Leadership and Integrity Act 2012 by A, overseeing misappropriation of the funds raised for the victims of horrendous Londiani Junction accident, tragedy in which over Kenya shillings 9 million of public raised funds were lost. Number B, reneging on his undertaking to implement the report of the County Assembly ad hoc committee formed to probe the misappropriation of funds meant for the victims of the accident. There is evidence that the governor filed a suit and or supported a suit by those implicated in the report of the County Assembly ad hoc committee in Kericho ELRC petition number E006 of 2023, Dr. Wesley Bora and 5 others versus the Governor, Kericho County Government and others, and Kericho ELRC petition number E014 of 2023, Victor Toom and others versus the Governor, Kericho County Government and others. Number C is being personally and directly complicit in the flawed award of direct tenders for service providers during the fundraiser and requiem mass of the victims of the accident. Number D, the county governor has in this regard committed numerous and various acts in the course of his duties and are contrary to and in violation of the Constitution and the laws of Kenya. This includes the Roman number 1, the authenticity of various payments made cannot be confirmed, the fact that the exact amount of money expended from the sum collected during the fundraiser points to the impropriety and suggests a clear fraud on those whom the funds were to have benefited. Roman number 2, a total of Kenya shillings 13,682,660 was collected at the fundraiser. A sum of Kenya shillings 423,000 was purportedly expended as pastors' facilitation fee, transport refund, field preparation, lunches and refreshments, printing, publishing and radio announcements. Other payments that were approved from the fund were Kericho County Referral Hospital, Kenya shillings 2,037,524, Londiani Hospital, Kenya shillings 1,534,190, Supertix Limited, Kenya shillings 292,000 945,000. Super Shine Limited, Kenya shillings 411,000. Race Hotel, Kenya shillings 100,000. And county commissioners' fuel expenses at Kenya shillings 300,000, etc. Roman number 3, that when Kenyans from all walks of their life voluntarily made contributions to aid the victims of the tragedy, it was never intended or anticipated that the funds will be misappropriated with the blessings of the governor, who had a higher calling to ensure the money is accounted for to the last coin and on whom the people bestowed their trust. Number 4, the governor has issued contradictory statements insofar as the use of the funds is concerned. The contradictory statements point to his being complicit in the matter. Number 5, while the governor is on record indicating that the medical bills for all the victims will be waived and taken care of by the county government, it is not clear why money had to be paid out from the fund collected to various public hospitals against the express and unequivocal representations of the governor. Number E, by his acts of omission and commission, the governor has grossly violated the provision of Article 75 of the Constitution, which demands that a state officer shall, whether in private or in public, behave in a manner that avoids conflict of interest between personal interest and public or official interest, or compromises public interest in favor of personal interest. Number F, by overseeing the misappropriation of funds aimed at assisting the victims of the accident, the governor violated Article 73, subsection 2, which demands from him selfless service based solely on public interest, demonstrated by honesty in the execution of his duties, accountability to the public for decisions and actions, and discipline and commitment in service. Number G, by allowing himself to be a master of doublespeak in such a grave matter that shook the conscience of the nation, the governor violated Article 73, 1A, Roman 2, and 3 of the Constitution, which demand that he at all times demonstrate respect to the people and bring honor and dignity to the office he holds. Number H, by allowing himself and senior officials close to him to benefit from the funds, the governor violated Article 76, 2B of the Constitution, which prohibits a state officer from accepting a benefit in circumstances that compromise the integrity of the state officer. And number I, by failing to ensure that decision-making in the executive office of the county governor are not influenced by corruption, nepotism, and other colors and improper motives, the governor has failed to exercise objectivity and impartiality, thus violating Article 73, 2B of the Constitution of Kenya 2010. Evidence of the governor's engagement, connivance, and complicity in the acts of misappropriating and or abetting misappropriation of publicly raised funds is to be found in as indicated in page 11 and 3, that is Roman number 1 up to number 3. Charge number B is abuse of office. And a charge abuse of office, there is Roman number 1, illegal appointments, unlawful dismissal and transfers, and usurpation of the constitutional and statutory functions of county public service. The governor has variously, in gross misconduct, 2 gross violations of Article 10, 73, 75, 232, 235, and 236 of the Constitution, 3 gross violation of Section 17 of the Public Officer Act, Section 55, 59, 59A, 60, 62, 63, 64, and 65 of the County Government Act, Section 4 of the Public Appointments, County Assembly's Approval Act 2017, and variously abused his office by A, illegally appointing one Mrs. Alice Bate, now Judge of the High Court, as the county attorney when there was a substantive office holder, and act with the Employment and Labor Relations Court, Honorable Lady Justice Wasilu affirmed was irregular and procedural and unlawful in Sang versus Governor Kericho County and 2 others, petition E001 of 2023. In that case, the governor was found by the court to be in gross violation of Article 73 and 232 of the Constitution. His actions found to be illegal and unconstitutional in order to pay cost of Kenya shillings 2 million and costs personally. The governor has therefore been already adjudged to be in gross violation of the law, and all the Assembly and the Senate are called upon to do is to remove him by impeachment. Number B, causing the advertisement of the positions of doctors, nurses, early childhood education, ECD teachers, just to endear himself politically when he knew the county government did not have capacity to hire. The applicants were subsequently not shortlisted, nor the alleged vacancies are filled up. Number C, illegally deploying health staff by notice dated 22nd July 2024 without any justification or authority and involvement of the county service board, thus creating a crisis in the health sector. And number D, illegally appointing Mr. George Kipngeno Kirer as the Chief Officer for Finance and forwarding his name to the County Assembly for vetting and approval when there was a substantive office holder in the name of Miss Jacqueline Silangat and the vacancy had not arisen. Evidence of the Governor's engagement, connivance, and complicity in the foregoing acts of illegal appointments and lawful dismissals and transfers and usurpation of the constitutional and statutory functions of the county organs is to be found in Roman number 1 and number 2 with the exhibits therein. Number 2, there's Roman 2, under abuse of office, is subversion, discrediting and impeding of the oversight role of the County Assembly. 1, on 3rd September 2024, the Governor engaged in gross misconduct and grossly violated the provision of Articles 10, 73, 75, 174, and 185(3) of the Constitution, and abused his office by writing to the Speaker, purporting to direct the Speaker on, inter alia, the timelines the Speaker should give the chief officers who are summoned by the Assembly for questioning in exercise of Assembly's oversight mandate. Evidence of the Governor's engagement, connivance, and complicity in the foregoing acts of subversion, discrediting, and impeding of the oversight role of the County Assembly is to be found in, as you can see, Roman number 1 and number 2 with the exhibits attached. Charge number C is gross misconduct. Roman number 1, bullying, incitement, vilification, and indecent sexual conduct. 1, on various occasions, the Governor has repeatedly engaged in gross misconduct and gross violation of the provision of Article 10, 73, and 75 of the Constitution and Section 29 and 34 of the Leadership and Integrity Act by A, publicly vilifying the residents of Kericho County with divergent views. A case in point is that Mr. Marwa from Londiani, who while attending an event in Londiani on 4th March 2024, the Governor publicly disparaged and demeaned and undermined and even threatened to use the services of the police officer assigned to him to manhandle him. Similarly, on 24th August 2023, the Governor, while commissioning a renal unit and a bulk liquid oxygen plant at Kapkatet Sub-County Hospital, the Governor openly vilified, slighted, and berated Honorable Amos Birir, MCA Kapkatet Ward, who had not attended the event, describing him as mentally blind and stupid. Number B, further on 15 August 2023, while addressing the press to counter the findings of the ad hoc committee of the County Assembly on Londiani accident, the Governor spitefully referred to the members of the said ad hoc committee as the funeral committee. Number C, the Governor has been operating with impunity as though he is above the law. On the second day of being sworn in office, the Governor led a mob to invade a private land owned by one Mr. Josiah Kiblangat Kogo within Kericho town and tore down the fence. The Governor has since designated the subject land as an illegal dump site operated by county governments without the consent of the registered proprietor, National Environment Management Authority, that is NEMA, approval, gazettement by the county, designating the parcel as a dump site, and in total disregard of a court order issued by the Environment and Land Court in Kericho in ELC petition number E001 of 2022, Josiah Kiblangat Kogo versus County Government of Kericho. The Governor has also obstructed the enforcement of the orders by the police administration. The actions are illegal, contemptuous to the authority and dignity of the court and the rule of law, unethical and demeaning the office of the Governor he holds. Further, as a result of the illegal actions of the Governor, the county was condemned to pay the cost. Number D, there are numerous complaints of Governor's indecent and unnatural sexual behavior by female partners who accuse the Governor of, for instance, forcing them to unconsented anal sex, dangerous and unprotected sex, etc. The victim of the abuse seeks anonymity at this stage, and the mover of the motion shall, at the hearing of this motion, seek to have the victim heard in camera to protect her identity and dignity. Further, for the sake of concealing her identity, the victim will be identified in a pseudonym. Number E, the Governor has persistently intimidated, molested, harassed county officers who do not sing to his tune, leaving officers jittery and creating an atmosphere of fear, uncertainty, and despondency in the county, and thus creating a toxic working environment. This violates provision of Section 11 and 13 of the Leadership and Integrity Act of 2012. Number F, the Governor has persistently used divisive and unbecoming language which undermines the office he holds, contrary to Section 8 of the Leadership and Integrity Act 2012. And G, the Governor has violated Article 75(1) of the Constitution by drawing hefty allowances under salary while failing to diligently report to work, to the huge detriment of the discharge of his mandate as a Governor and the performance of his functions. And H, the acts of the Governor enumerated above have collectively brought dishonor and disrepute the office of the governor in violation of Chapter 6 of the Constitution and the Leadership and Integrity Act of 2012. Evidence of the governor's engagement, connivance, and complicity in the preceding acts of incitement, vilification, and indecent sexual conduct is to be found in evidence that is from number 1, that's Roman 1 to Roman 3, which is also attached. Honorable members, having read the motion in verbatim, before we begin the debate on the motion that is now before the House, it is fundamental principle in law that an accused person has the right to be heard and to face his or her accusers on the allegations before them. Indeed, this is the essence of Article 47 and Article 50 of our Constitution. To this end, I will now invite His Excellency the Governor of Kericho County, whether by himself or by council, to take the floor and makes his submissions to the grounds and particulars of the motion before this Honorable Assembly for a period not exceeding 2 hours. And as we all know, that we have Katwa Kigen and your colleague, so you have a period not exceeding 2 hours. But just to remind you that this is a house of rules and procedures, and therefore we expect you more so, because having gone through your submissions that you submitted, to look at our standing orders number 97, so that it will guide you more so if you want to discuss the conduct of the governor or the speaker or any other person whose removal from such office is dependent upon the decision of this assembly. Please be guided, Council Katwa Kigen. And therefore, you have 2 hours. And what is the time? Clock? What? 11:20. Okay. So, hello, Council Kigen, you can proceed.
Mr. Speaker, sir, may I start by saying thank you very much for the courtesy and the invite. We very much appreciate, most especially, and to you specifically, the courtesy you have shown us. Secondly, may I, by way of starting, introduce both myself and my colleague. My name is Katwa Kigen. I represent the governor, together with my learned colleague, Mr. Manasseh Tunen. Thirdly, I want to extend a word of appreciation to you, Honorable MCAs, for the courtesy of allowing us in here. And I would also like to say that if I say anything in the defense of His Excellency, it is specifically and solely out of my instructions, or rather our instructions, to defend His Excellency. It has nothing to do with the respect we have for you. And may I just emphasize that we have the highest possible respect for you as MCAs and as the Speaker. Mr. Speaker, when you introduced the issue, you put the issue of whether the Speaker will be in attendance and whether he's foregoing his option to represent himself.
Sorry, that's the governor?
Sorry, Governor, Sir Governor, Mr. Speaker. I confirm that the governor was on his way here and would have arrived by now, but when he was on his way, he was given notice that there was an order stopping the proceedings, these proceedings. And in the face of the existence of that order, he went back. However, he still in line with the point that he's not foregoing his right to defend himself. Mr. Speaker, sir, you have already adverted to the fact that we filed his statement and defense and his documents dated 30th September 2024. It is our position, therefore, Mr. Speaker, sir, that in the face of the order, this proceeding should be held. However, if at the end of the court proceedings and at the end of the judge decides that this matter should come back here, we will be relying on that statement and we will not be foregoing his right to defend himself. Mr. Speaker, sir, may I also just go on record as acknowledging the observations you made at the start of these proceedings, being that you are in receipt of a letter from 16 MCAs, and the effect of which is that out of the 47 MCAs that this honorable plenary ordinarily hosts, there would be only 31 members then, and unless one more walks in, the people, even if the motion were to be discussed, the only number of people who would then be engaging in discussing would be 31. Honorable MCAs, we have, speaking for the governor, we have not lost faith in you. We are still expecting that one of the 34, one or more of you in the 31 that are here will oppose the motion. I just want to be cautious so that it doesn't seem like I'm saying the 31 that are here against the governor. I just want to say that I know there are 31 here, and even if it were 100%, it would not master the 2/3 count unless one more walks in. And as a rider, we are still counting on you to disallow the motion. I appreciate from the mover and the seconder that most likely they will vote, and probably then there will be 29 against the two of them. Mr. Speaker, sir, having then done that introduction, I just want then to emphatically place on record our situation on behalf of the governor, being that there is an order made by the court this 2nd day of October. The hard copy of that order has been served on the assembly and on the office of the clerk. The soft copy has also been served by email. And out of caution, because we don't know how, Mr. Speaker, I appreciate that you honorable members of the county assembly, by reason that probably you had sat before that order was brought to your attention, might not know the contents. And so I just want to say something about its contents. The first one is that it is an order that was issued this morning, 2nd of October 2024. The order, in very specific terms, suspends, and I'm using the words used in the order, suspends and stays, it suspends and stays, debating, considering, and acting on the notice the notice tabled on the 23rd of September 2024, and the motion moved on 24th September 2024 and today. So it suspends and stays, debating, considering, and acting on it. Multiple times the Speaker has pointed out to you, honorable members, that this is a court of record. And then, therefore, there is a certain disadvantage you have as opposed to other people. Because if in the face of the fact that an order has been brought to your attention, you proceed, then it should be possible to pinpoint who it is that violated the order. I'm saying that again with the greatest respect. May I also say that the respondents in that petition are, number 1, the County Assembly, number 2, the Speaker of the County Assembly, and number 3, and allow me, the mover of the motion, Honorable Rogony, is the 3rd respondent. We didn't know that you have your friend seconding it. We would have also added him in the petition. Okay. Probably 2 last things, Mr. Speaker, then I ask for your directions in the face of the order. The first one, Mr. Speaker, is that just to say something more about the order has been granted against the background of our argument And probably I'll just highlight 3 of them. The first one, Mr. Speaker, and again I said I am doing this with the greatest respect to everybody here, the greatest possible respect. The first one, Mr. Speaker, is that we have taken issue with you presiding over these proceedings. We have taken the position that you are biased against the governor.
Which the council,
yes, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Please be guided by standing order number 97. As I told you, you are free to say that, but not in this house, because of our standing orders are very clear, unless there's a substantive motion to discuss the conduct of the speaker. For today, let me remind you, we have a substantive motion for the removal of the governor. But nevertheless, you are free to discuss it elsewhere, but not today in this sitting.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I can see that point is very popular with the MCAs. I wasn't discussing it so much to put you on issue, Mr. Speaker. I was pointing it out more for the benefit of the MCAs to appreciate the issues that have been raised in court. And so it's not so much that I'm asking that your character or your person be an issue. I'm just saying the basis or the issues we took to court and upon which we persuaded the court to give us the orders. Mr. Speaker, sir, you will also notice that that is an issue we've raised also in our defense dated 30th September 2024. In the face of the fact, Mr. Speaker, sir, that I have pointed out to you that I am highlighting it in the context of what is in court. I don't know whether you still are opposed to my...
Order,
yes, yes.
You know, the court order purported that you are speaking about is the one that I haven't received, or before we started this session. By that time, we had not received, and we are being told actually your people or your agents delivered them at 10:24 a.m. And therefore, I remember, as I said earlier, that is the schedule. There is the House Business Committee that schedules all these things. By the time we schedule this business and commence at the sitting, this has not been brought to our attention, and therefore we cannot be able to continue discussing about the court order. And now I throw back the ball to you. You have a choice to continue with the defense of the governor, or you stick by the court order that you have alluded that it is there, which from where I sit, we haven't received and admitted it to be discussed or to be part of the proceedings. Let it be on record, so that let it be on record as a house. So, council, you have 2 choices: either to proceed with the defense of the governor, or you stick with the court of that there is existence of court order that you have. It has been delivered, as you put it, by choice. Is it?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yes. May I say, there is of course the third choice of how I will use the 2 hours you've given me. Mr. Speaker, sir, one of the grounds for seeking the impeachment of His Excellency the Governor is that he is liable for doublespeak. We contested that, and we have shown why our position is that it is not true. But I'm not saying it so much because of His Excellency the Governor. I'm saying it more for you, your Honorable Speaker. You are on one hand saying we have not received the order, but I can see you already are reading from the order and saying it was served at 10. And so it cannot be correct to say that the record should show that you are not aware of the order or that you have not been given. I have also, because Probably the camera will not be part of the record, but at least my audio will be part of the record. I have seen, and I just want to be on record also as saying this, that the clerk has shown you the order. And so if we are to proceed, we will be proceeding against the background that you, Mr. Speaker, with the greatest respect, have received the order, but you are electing to disregard it to the extent to which it asks you to suspend, stay, debate, consideration, and acting on the motion tabled on 23rd and moved on 24th. Two other issues, I'm sorry, Mr. Speaker.
Proceed.
Yes, two other issues I just must say, in view of the space that I have in my 2 hours, is to say, Mr. Speaker, apart from the fact that we took to court our contest, that if we must proceed with this debate, we must have somebody else as a speaker as opposed to yourself, on account of material showing you are compromised by money and that you also a complainer in this case. Apart from that, we've also raised the issue of sub judice, that Mr. Speaker, sir, your Rule 99, Standing Order number 99.
97.
Standing Order 99.
Okay.
2A and D require that you should not discuss matters that are in court that are sub judice. Yes, Mr. Speaker. Sorry. Yes, sir.
I just want us to go back to the matter of choice. And you've got two options. As I have indicated to you that as far as I'm aware, you have just raised the matter of that there is a court order. There is a process of receiving court orders. You know very well. You are the legal. You are one of the learned friends.
Yes,
and
yes, Mr. Speaker. I'm aware that if you disobey it, you'll be in contempt.
Yes, by mere of just coming here and saying that you have already been served, and you know very well that there's a process of serving orders, you may be misleading this House, by extension, the members of the public. And I want to give direction that Council proceed with the defense of your client, that is Excellency the Governor, and let us not discuss on the matter of the court order that you have already informed us. I have been courteous enough that you informed us in the midst of the debate. So kindly proceed with the...
Okay, I will
and also let me remind you on, again, Standing Order number 997 for the last time, that let us not again allow, I will not allow you to discuss the conduct of the Speaker unless there is a substantive motion, which you know very well it is not there. Your comments, listening keenly to your comments, you keep on referring to the conduct of the Speaker. And I'm sorry that you are out of order, Council. So please stick to defense of the Governor. If you feel, if you take that choice. Secondly, if you want to stand with what you are saying, as I've mentioned earlier, that there is a court order, and you feel that you are not going to continue because there is a court order, you have an option 2. And I guess that option 2 will mean probably you may have to take your seat and we proceed with the motion. So you stand guided, because
thank you, Mr. Speaker. I stand guided. I will no longer discuss you other than what I have said, but I'm sure even Honorable Rogon can see that indeed you have the order in front of you. You have it right there. Now, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Lawyer, yes, please take your seat.
Mr. Speaker, the Council has continued to mislead this House. I haven't seen any order. It just said that I'm part of those who've been served. But I do not have any document records. And so the Council ought to substantiate. Or if he can't, he should withdraw and apologize.
Yes, Council and honorable members, I had pronounced myself on that matter. However, there was a point of order by Honorable Ogwan, because I think that you alluded that he has received the court order that you are talking about. Maybe, and he has requested that perhaps, and he has informed you that he hasn't received one. So probably I'll just maybe give you a minute so that we can clear on that and proceed. But nevertheless, I have already given direction on the matter regarding court order that you have alluded that we have been served. Proceed.
Honorable Ogony, you have asked me to either substantiate or withdraw. I intend to withdraw. But ahead of withdrawing, I don't remember saying Honorable Ogony has been served with the order. I have said it is the Speaker and the Assembly that has been served. If you misunderstood me to be saying that you've been served, because my supposition is that you've been here all this time, and so probably you haven't been physically served.
Order, you, Council,
yes.
just to remind you, you
Yes.
did mention that the order has been served to the mover also.
No, I didn't say that. I said he's one of the respondents, Mr. Speaker.
Or is
the only person who has been served.
Or is it the aspect of mastering the double speak that we had alluded in the beginning? Anyway, proceed with the defense. Let's proceed to the matter.
On the double speak, Mr. Speaker, so I don't mind the stones you're throwing at me. I can live with them. So, Honorable Ogony, if you understood me to be saying that you have been physically served, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying the Speaker has been served. I just want to be very emphatic about that.
Which I have also confirmed that I have not received any order.
And which I'm confirming that even as we speak, it is on the left-hand side of your, right-hand side of where you're seated, and the clerk has given you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, as you can proceed.
And if you'd rather, I can walk over to your table and show you the order, Mr. Speaker. Okay, with that, then, Mr.
Council,
Speaker, sir, I can move on. I can move on. Sorry, sorry.
Order, please take your seat. Order. Just take your seat. Council, you know, I appreciate the fact that we have two representatives representing the governor, which we have admitted to this house, and you should follow our standing orders. I expect that, of course, being learned friends of the council, you here to do the right thing and do it accordingly with procedure, not to engage in a manner in which, in one way or another, it's kind of you are disregarding or completely ignoring the directions from the Speaker. I give you the last chance so that you proceed, because we don't want to be, we wanted really to be very fair so that you can defend your clients. But let us avoid the issue of exchanging or challenging even the pronunciations by the chair himself. So proceed, the chair, council.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I will conform to your directions. I just want to say that when the court eventually determines this issue, we will be proceeding with our defense in line with the filing we did on 30th of September 2024. And in that filing, Mr. Speaker, sir, just to pick out a number of things, sensational things that have been flagged out by Honorable Ogony and the second of the motion, we will be Honorable Ogony flagged out the point that one Mr. Kirer replaced Jacqueline. in circumstances of impropriety, and we wish the governor could produce some documents. We confirm that indeed we have documents showing the Office of Chief Officer Finance was vacant, and therefore it is untrue to say that it had been filled. Number two, that it was Public Service Board that advertised. It is this county assembly to which that motion was brought for the appointment of Kirer, and if there is any fault, if there is anybody to be impeached, it is probably Honorable Ogony, who was sitting in the committee vetting the subcommittee for this assembly, vetting Mr. Kirer and recommending to the governor the appointment. On the issue
on that matter and any other matters that are coming up on your defense, I hope and believe that the documents that you are referring to, all of them have been attached in your submissions that submitted by the government.
They have, Mr. Speaker.
Okay. Just
and again, I'm emphasizing
of record, yeah,
that unlike you, we do not want to be in contempt of the court order. We will come back after the court has pronounced itself. On the issue of sex excesses and improprieties, we have filed a notice objecting to the material supplied to us out of time, and we've not had time to respond to them. Mr. Speaker, sir, if you will, if the court decides that these proceedings proceed, and if you like time, we will respond to that.
Sorry, Counsel, you are moving so fast. You said in the matter of supplement.
Objecting to the late service.
The notice have been, you have delivered here?
Yes, yes, Mr. Speaker, sir.
So, Clerk, you need to confirm, when was it delivered?
We've raised it.
Just hold on.
After we had filed our defense, and having then had some latitude of time to look at it, we had a cursory look at it. And it is our view that on the face of what was contained in that supplementary evidence, the person Honorable Ogony should have been targeting for impeachment is the driver of the governor, because the exchange was between the driver of the governor and the lady Honorable Ogony has chosen to call Kericho daughter. And so when we come back after the court's decision, we will be making our arguments along those lines. With all that said, then, Mr. Speaker, sir, I will request that you allow my colleague to say something, but our general position is that until the application has been determined, we do not intend to proceed with the discussions and deliberations on the impeachment, because then it would be in contempt of court, and we do not want to similarly be in contempt. And as my colleague comes to say something, I just want to say that again, the governor was on his way, but in view of the order, he chose not to come, because then there was no necessity of going on with the case. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Honorable Governor did not expect that there was a likelihood of you disobeying the court order, and that's why he didn't come. Honorable Ogony said that His Excellency the Governor is a cruel person. I suspect I haven't been with the Governor for as long time as Honorable Ogony has been with him, but with what I know, he is definitely not cruel, and we want to be on record as contesting that allegation that the Governor is cruel. And lastly, that when we come back to respond to this, we will, Mr. Speaker, sir, I know you stopped Honorable Ogony when he was qualifying what he was saying, when he said, His Excellency said one of the learned MCAs here is stupid. He qualified by saying he did not use those words, he used a different set of words in a different language. We will be saying those words do not mean stupid, and that the Honorable His Excellency did not use the word stupid. Lastly, and I have the greatest respect to Honorable Birir, I don't know him, the comment made by His Excellency saying that some people are politically blind did not refer specifically to any specific person, including Honorable Birir. And if Honorable Birir has taken offense because of this complaint brought by Honorable Ogony, the person he should be offended at is Honorable Ogony, not His Excellency the Governor, because that's not the person who made that comment. But we must say also, and I suspect Honorable Ogony has said this, that making the statement that somebody is politically blind is a fair political comment. It's something any of you would say in your political forum. It is not an abuse to say somebody is politically blind. With all that, then, Mr. Speaker, sir, I very kindly request that my colleague say something briefly, and with that,
Okay.
we will not proceed on our part with the proceedings. We will be seeking to cite everybody who says anything about this issue in the face of the order, and we plead with you that the same way the Speaker is insisting and emphasizing that we respect the standing orders, we respect the rules, the same way we do respect the fact that there is a court order. I am addressing the MCAs, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Order, but only through the, you can only
thank you. Okay, through the Speaker,
please
may I say thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
And
again, Mr. Speaker, I hope you don't take it personal. Again, I have the greatest respect for you.
It is okay.
And if I have said anything, it is out of the need to defend my client.
Right.
The same to Honorable Robert.
Just, of course, having just order first, Council, before you take the seat. You know, the comments or the observation by, I want to believe you are the lead counsel, Katwa Keegan, on this matter, and you have pronounced yourself really that you don't intend to continue with this matter because of the court order. So honestly, I don't see the reason why then we should give to your colleague, and you have already pronounced yourself, because that is from your own observation, and therefore I guess you have already summarized, unless you wanted your colleague just to say his name, and because you have made it very clear that you don't intend to.
Mr. Speaker, sir, are you withdrawing my 2 hours?
Of course, based on you've saying that you don't.
Okay. Mr. Speaker, sir, could you then allow my colleague just to say something? He probably has a different view. Probably
Okay.
wants to proceed with the defense. Let's hear what he has to say, please. Just for a minute.
Okay, proceed the council.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, members of the County Assembly. As introduced by my learned senior Katwa Keegan, my name is Manasseh Tunen, in the team representing the governor. I would associate myself with the submissions made by my learned senior, Mr. Katwa Keegan, and our point or stand is that we respect the court order, and we will not be proceeding. And then when and if the court decides that this House should proceed to discuss the motion, then there's only one issue that I think my learned senior forgot to mention that we will be objecting to, and that is the manner in which the alluded or the alleged witness is going to present her testimony. It has been indicated that it will be through pseudonyms, it will be in camera, and up to now, as the evidence suggests, we are not aware, or the public or whoever is not aware of who that person is. So if that is to stand, we will be requiring or requesting or demanding that such persons be identified by their name, be identified by their face, and they should be availed before you if the court is of the opinion that this motion should proceed. And Mr. Speaker, with your kind permission, and this is not to say that we are proceeding with the motion, if we feel like we want to proceed through the motion, we kindly request that you allow us to proceed and, observe what happens in the House if, of course, Mr. Speaker, you choose to proceed with deliberating on the motion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Council. You said Manas, Tunei. You said.
Maybe I should make that clear. Tunen, T-U-N-E-N, Kiplagat Manasseh. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Council Tunen, Council Katwa Keegan. Now that you have pronounced yourself on the very matter that you are not willing to proceed because of the matter of the court order that you have mentioned that is before us, I don't, of course, have anything else to say, but really to appreciate you being here, having taken your time. You have made your submissions, and as an assembly, we were very honored and pleased to have you and to interact with you. And therefore, all the members, I think, in the best interest of and respect that we give the side of His Excellency the Governor, more so the legal team that are here. I think it will be in order that we release you, because you are not part of the proceedings from now. And Sergeant Adams, please, Katwa Kigen, and so we hope to meet soon, as you have made your submissions, and we are happy to have you again in the future. Thank you so much. Sergeant Adam, ensure that the legal counsels are served with a cup of tea at the office of the clerk. And if there is lunch, you can also provide lunch.
To the university, Mr. Speaker. I think he can do better in the university, Mr. Speaker, apart from the other issues that was raised by the mover of the motion, and that falls under the gender-based. And the Honorable Deputy Majority Leader, I know, is going to take time there, Mr. Speaker, but he is not supposed to preside over. Why we are saying this, Mr. Speaker, Article 179(4) of the Constitution, Mr. Speaker, reaffirms the governor's position as the Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Speaker, of the county, Mr. Speaker, and therefore, Mr. Speaker, the law vests the primary responsibility for decision making and ensuring the well-being of the county government, Mr. Speaker, rests squarely on the governor. Mr. Speaker, the reason why the governor is being impeached, Mr. Speaker, is because of the Article 179(4) of the Constitution, Mr. Speaker, that, you know, positions the governor as the county executive. So when the county executive officer, Mr. Speaker, for example, if we have issues in this county assembly, Mr. Speaker, I can assure you, we will never go for a junior staff. We will come for your neck, because you are the executive officer of the county assembly of Kericho. So the governor, Mr. Speaker, has failed severally, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, what we discussed, we had the Londiani accident, Mr. Speaker, where money were collected by the victims, Mr. Speaker. You know, a fundraiser was done, Mr. Speaker, and in fact, there is the deputy president, Mr. Speaker, gave a donation of 2 million shillings, Mr. Speaker. But that donation was used the next day in a fundraiser that was in Bureau's here and another place, Mr. Speaker. You know, these are the money that is meant for the victims, Mr. Speaker, so that you know how inhumane, you know, we are fundraising for victims that lost their lives, 53 to be specific, Mr. Speaker, and others that were hospitalized, Mr. Speaker. A whopping 13-point-something million, almost 14 million, Mr. Speaker, was collected to assist the family. The governor gave an assurance, Mr. Speaker, that there is no single victim that is going to pay for our hospitals, Mr. Speaker. I am privileged because I sat in that ad hoc committee that the governor later on referred to it, Mr. Speaker, as the funeral committee, Mr. Speaker. You know, a well-constituted committee that was passed by this county assembly, Mr. Speaker, a governor calling such a committee, Mr. Speaker, a funeral committee, Mr. Speaker. You know, that shows the governor, Mr. Speaker, demeans the county assembly and demeans these honorable members, Mr. Speaker. In fact, Mr. Speaker, I used to, in fact, at some time, Mr. Speaker, I was to begin my master's degree, I mean, law degree, Mr. Speaker, because I used to like this profession, Mr. Speaker. But today, Mr. Speaker, when Katwa Kigen, this is the Katwa Kigen that represented the sang in ICC, Mr. Speaker, but I saw somebody, Mr. Speaker, you know, you cannot just be used, Mr. Speaker, to come and demean the county assembly, Mr. Speaker. In fact, from today, Mr. Speaker, I am proceeding to PhD in, you know, Mr. Speaker, public policy and administration. That is why I mastered, Mr. Speaker, because I have seen there's nothing good in going to some of these cases, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, a money that was meant for the victim is being misappropriated, Mr. Speaker. Then, when the whistleblower, Mr. Speaker, who happens to be the deputy governor, Mr. Speaker, blow the whistle in TFC, Mr. Speaker, a committee was formed. We went to the bottom of that matter, Mr. Speaker. Then the county executive used now the public funds. I mean, you know, use the money that was in emergency fund to pay for some of the victims, Mr. Speaker. What that is, Mr. Speaker, inhuman to our county governor, Mr. Speaker. Apart from the revenue, Mr. Speaker, you know,
Yes.
you've had one of the as I summarize, one of the junior staff, Mr. Speaker, said that the governor needs 500,000 on a daily basis, Mr. Speaker. What county are we running, Mr. Speaker? And that is why these people, Mr. Speaker, they do not want to automate the revenue. Because once you automate the revenue, the issue, Mr. Speaker, of getting cash in your pocket, Mr. Speaker, will be a thing of the past. Once you automate this, Mr. Speaker, the only county in Kenya that still collect their revenue using manual, Mr. Speaker, and getting cash and using exercise books, Mr. Speaker, is Kericho County, Mr. Speaker. Which is a shame. This is a county, Mr. Speaker, that is endowed with resources, Mr. Speaker. If they cannot declare a single cent in Kabianga tea farm, a farm that has 400 acres of tea, Mr. Speaker. Personally, in my place, I have 5 acres of tea, Mr. Speaker, and I can give you the kilos because we are waiting for bonus, Mr. Speaker. I have 14,000 and some, you know, 14,617 kilos, Mr. Speaker. And that is a 5-acre piece of land, Mr. Speaker, that I don't even manage well because I'm in politics. Sometimes members of the public goes to my farm, you know, and, you know, take the tea leaves to tea buying centers, Mr. Speaker, and, you know, I don't do anything because, you know, they are saying this, then I'm getting almost that kind of cages. A Kabianga tea farm, Mr. Speaker, with the county machinery collecting meal, Mr. Speaker. And as I wind up, Mr. Speaker, in Amoi market, Mr. Speaker, they are declaring 400 shillings per day. You remember, Mr. Speaker, there was a statement that was raised by the Honorable Matthew, Mr. Speaker, and with all due respect, Mr. Speaker, I want to urge the Honorable members. The only place, and in fact, the Honorable Tarimbo, Mr. Speaker, who is, I think, is vying for some bigger seat, Mr. Speaker. This is the only place that you can come here, Mr. Speaker.
Order, the Honorable Chariot, but do we have a name? We don't have a name.
The Honorable Paul Chirchira, I'm sorry, Mr. Speaker. You know, Mr. Speaker, this is the 16 members of the county assembly are ashamed to this county, Mr. Speaker. You cannot, Mr. Speaker, be taken, Mr. Speaker, hostage. I understand they are in an island in Uganda, Mr. Speaker, called Rusinga Island. An elected member, Mr. Speaker, leave alone the nominated, and I want to applaud the nominated MCAs that are stood with this cause, Mr. Speaker. You can take an elected member, Mr. Speaker, to an island in Uganda, Mr. Speaker, so that they don't appear before the county assembly to speak on behalf of the people, Mr. Speaker. That is shame, Mr. Speaker. In fact, Mr. Speaker, I have stayed in this county assembly long enough, Mr. Speaker. And you know they are spending the same revenue that we are trying to get solutions here in an island in Rusinga, Mr. Speaker. Another one called Matthew, you know, Mr. Speaker, we were in a funeral in Kipchimchi, Mr. Speaker. He's saying unpalatable words to these honorable members, Mr. Speaker. He raised the Kazi Mutai statement, and that is why a committee was formed, Mr. Speaker. And he's now in Rusinga Island. He's the one busting these honorable members. But I want to tell them, Mr. Speaker, as I wind up, Mr. Speaker, they have a date with destiny, Mr. Speaker. We want to tell them, Mr. Speaker, we will never allow this county to go to the dogs, Mr. Speaker. We will send the chief executive officer of this county home, Mr. Speaker, but I want to assure you, Mr. Speaker, even those CECs that are running down, up and down, Mr. Speaker, trying to look for these honorable members, Mr. Speaker, even if they do demonstration from morning to evening, Mr. Speaker, we will never tire. Mr. Speaker, we want to assure you, we are prepared to work this journey, Mr. Speaker, and I hope the senators, once we pass, and I want to write the honorable members, when the history of the 3rd County Assembly will be written, Mr. Speaker, you will have a chapter or 2 as those MCAs who stood with the people when the people needed the most, Mr. Speaker. We are on the right side of history. When you go to impeachment motion of 2014, that was moved by Albert, Mr. Speaker, as I wind up. You were the CC in charge of finance, Mr. Speaker. When the motion was moved to hoster Professor Chepkwony, Mr. Speaker, you know, when Chepkwony came back, you know, Mr. Speaker, things now went straight forward, Mr. Speaker. So we want to tell the members here, Mr. Speaker, that we are not going to tire. In fact, we are going, Mr. Speaker, we will be bringing impeachment. Before the people of Inamoi sent me home, Mr. Speaker, because of some 1, 2, 3 things that I never completed because there is no county resources, Mr. Speaker, I will send someone home so that he waits for me at home in 2027, Mr. Speaker. I will not allow, Mr. Speaker. So as I want, Mr. Speaker, allow me to thank these gallant soldiers, Mr. Speaker, and ladies, for standing on behalf of the people of Kericho. Never be bowed, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Ogon, This is your constitutional mandate of doing oversight, Mr. Speaker. So never tire trying to correct the county executive, Mr. Speaker. We will call them by their names. For the members of the county assembly who decided to go and joyride in an island in Uganda, Mr. Speaker, including the honorable members the two honorable members from Ainamo, Mr. Speaker, I don't even speak about the honorable Ishma and honorable Noela, because these are nominated MCA who has no interest in Kericho County, Mr. Speaker. And this is the same person, Mr. Speaker, who nominated. How can you nominate someone who does not have interest in your county, Mr. Speaker? When matters like these are being discussed, Mr. Speaker, they are joyriding in Uganda, Mr. Speaker. I think we need to make it very clear that anybody who is going to be nominated in this county, Mr. Speaker, must have interest in Kericho County, Mr. Speaker. I want to applaud the Honorable Gekonya, Mr. Speaker, because he is one of the minorities, but they are living in this county. They know what the people of this county are going through, Mr. Speaker. And Gekonyo, when the history will be written, you stood with the minority community of this county. You stood with the majority community of this county, Mr. Speaker. If when you ask the Honorable Ishmael, where does he live? Does she has land in this county, Mr. Speaker, apart from the gases that he sells along the roadside, Mr. Speaker? Sell the gases along the roadside, Mr. Speaker, is even, Mr. Speaker, dangerous, Mr. Speaker. How can you set up a gas station along an highway, Mr. Speaker? And it must be removed. When you ask about the Honorable Mr. Speaker, where does he live? Where is his land in Kericho County, Mr. Speaker? Apart from living in some of these rented houses in this county. So we will make a statement as the leaders of this county, Mr. Speaker, that next time a nomination is being done, we need to look at someone who hails from this county. Even if you come from a minority, you need to have land, so that when we are discussing about the issues affecting the Kipsigis of Kericho, Mr. Speaker, at least you feel. How does Noela from Siaya feel the pinch of these people, these county, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, as I finish on behalf of the people of Ainamo, Mr. Speaker, I want to support the mover of the motion. I support the motion, and we will do our part, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you.
And as I finish, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, as I finish, the independence of various arms of government. The county assembly, Mr. Speaker, is independent. No arm of government, Mr. Speaker, should infringe on the rights of another arm of government, Mr. Speaker. If the purported orders, Mr. Speaker, has anything, they should wait for us to finish the process. Then if you think that your rights were infringed, you now go to other agencies, Mr. Speaker, to seek redress. So the county assembly is independent, Mr. Speaker, and we will do and discharge our mandate, Mr. Speaker, until the end of 2027. If God gives us another grace, Mr. Speaker, to represent our people either here or there, Mr. Speaker, we will be very grateful, Mr. Speaker. Otherwise, thank you, and I support the motion.
All right, thank you, the Honorable Achiriot. But the Honorable Gilbert Ngatich, sorry. Gilbert Ngatich, the member from Roret Ward. Kisiara, yes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me this opportunity to represent the good people of Kisiara Ward, to also support a motion and give a reason, candid reason, why I do support this motion, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, as I really saw the indications made by the motion mover, Mr. Speaker, I sat in a revenue committee whereby we were analyzing the sources of revenue and why are we not meeting the targets, Mr. Speaker, sir. And Mr. Speaker, I know you are the head of this assembly, and whatever the staffs are doing in this assembly, you are vicariously liable as far as the law is concerned. Mr. Speaker, whatever happening in this Department of Finance, where revenue is being embezzled left, right, and center, Mr. Speaker, is really wanting in this county, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, the reason as to why I really face it to be wanting is that Mr. Speaker will not meet the revenue targets, and eventually it will really make us not to work on development issue in our wards, Mr. Speaker. The sole reason, Mr. Speaker, why we are in this assembly is to work for our people, to take the projects home for our people, Mr. Speaker, sir. It will also make the stall project remain stall. Mr. Speaker, in my ward, I have a project called Pineapple Plant, which was started 20 years ago, and it has been used as a political mileage thing, whereby each and every person aspiring from those regions do talk of completing the plant, Mr. Speaker. But as I talk today, let me appreciate the honorable members of this House, mainly those who are really seated in the budget committee, because under strategic intervention in last financial year, you appropriated 50 million, which was including a portion for pineapple plant. This financial year, thank you again, you supported us from that sub-county to appropriate 100 million, which was meant for pineapple plant still. But as I come from that area, Mr. Speaker, from these 2 years, nothing has been done in that particular plant, irrespective of the fact that we really push hard in this assembly to have resources appropriated to include that particular stall project, Mr. Speaker. I cannot continue, Mr. Speaker, doing the rallying and requesting honorable members to consider this stall project, and eventually the money is not reaching home, Mr. Speaker. I stand very firm representing the people of Kishara that I do not want to see this project still to be a white element in that world, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, there is another stall project called Kericho Water Project, which was supposed to be serving all Buratians with a smart solution of water source in our sub-county. Mr. Speaker, the money from the county government was used to start the project, and so feasibility study was done. Every design was made. I do not know why, as we really appropriate funds for such a bigger project, Mr. Speaker, as I speak today, 2 years down the line, nothing has happened in that sub-county pertaining to Kericho Water Project. And as I said, Mr. Speaker, I have never seen any other alternative source, a clear source of water that can serve Bureti sub-county, because we used to say, because we now have a leader there, we should be having the place very fertile. But instead, Mr. Speaker, as I talk of this major project, it is wanting, and that is why I give in to support the motion. Mr. Speaker, I also know very well things pertaining to plantation, whereby I was in a committee where we really did an investigation on the revenue source, this Kabianga farm. Mr. Speaker, this land is about 400 acres. And an acre, Mr. Speaker, to make you know, because you really come from a sub-county where there is no tea, it has a plantation of 4,000 plants. And an average production of a plant is 2 kilos, Mr. Speaker, sir. That is 2 kilos per plant per acre, which is equivalent to 2 kilos per times 4,000 plants, which makes 96,000 kilos per acre by year. Mr. Speaker, when you multiply with 400 acres, Mr. Speaker, at least we get money that goes to 38 million, Mr. Speaker, sir. Now that the county government is just a big body, Mr. Speaker, with an additional of fertilizer, a good plant can produce up to 4 kilos when a good tea husbandry is done, Mr. Speaker. And what I'm saying is, we have this one again as another living white element, Mr. Speaker, where we earn zero revenue because of negligence and misappropriation, Mr. Speaker. I also sat in the committee of the investigating team who are really doing the so-called funeral committee. I was one of them. I saw what really happened in Londiani. Mr. Speaker, I went to the mortuary, not for the first time. I've been going alive then, to be more specific, to see what transpired, Mr. Speaker. And I found hands for people who were really buried some 3 days ago, just because of this misappropriation of funds. People were not actually given chance to do some pathology thing to identify a kind of a hand belongs to which person. Mr. Speaker, as I speak today, I have a victim in my ward confined to a wheelchair, a girl called Chepkoech from a family in Mabasi, where I do buy medicine, Mr. Speaker, up to date. Mr. Speaker, I could not really sit and really admit that such money can be misappropriated by people. I wish the governor, and I gave an advice, that in results of this particular ad hoc committee, please act on them. And that is why he said, Mangetujita. Eventually, the so-called perpetrators of misappropriation was seated in the government. Mr. Speaker, as I represent my people, I also still stand very firm that we cannot sit watching people misappropriating funds in the name of Ninyo Lakwet. Mr. Speaker, I have to stand very firm and be categorical. The reason as to why we are in this assembly today is because we need developments in our wards. In representation, Mr. Speaker, my ward alone is left aside in the representation. Among the 6 wards in the sub-county, we are 7. I don't have any CEC nor CO, so meaning representation is 0. Mr. Speaker, sir, I stand firm and I really stick to this. Mr. Speaker, as I end, let me just appreciate the motion mover, who is my neighbor. We share the pineapple plant together. The farmers from Sigawit, where Honorable Rogoy hails from, are really expecting to really have good fetches from this pineapple plant, because they are selling, Mr. Speaker, in that Wena Road junction, Mr. Speaker, in a price of 10 shillings. And they even say this is Kalayake. To me, they want to sell by force, even if they are not ribbon, Mr. Speaker. So, Honorable Motion Mover Rogoy, I support this motion just because of the problems which are really existing. Mr. Speaker, as I end, Mr. Speaker, we appreciate the fact that we are not doing anything which is contrary. We are doing what the law allows us. We are really exercising our mandate as honorable members. Mr. Speaker, these resources, again, even if they are Miaka as we see, we expect them to be distributed in these wards equally. Mr. Speaker, there was a scenario where an MCA was masquerading in a function that His Excellency is using her to really hide some resources. Hiding resources when we are really giving our energy to really ensure those resources are within the budget line items, Mr. Speaker. I will never sit singing someone bragging that I'm being given the lion's share. Thank you so much.
All right, honorable members, thank you. As I give to other contributors, let me remind you that let's use parliamentary language as we contribute. The Honorable Erick B, and then I'll give to the Honorable Peter Gemoy, and I can see the Honorable Edna. I have seen Honorable Moses. Can we do that first, maybe in order, and then we can pick the others?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity just to contribute on this motion, Mr. Speaker. First of all, Mr. Speaker, let me thank the mover of the motion, who is my neighbor, Honorable Rogon, and the seconder, who is also my neighbor, Honorable Halbert. Mr. Speaker, these are great people who are coming from CISO, so in Singaon, Mr. Speaker, and they are really, by working hard in this motion, Mr. Speaker, is because of marginalization. You have been being marginalized for a long time, and today you are standing our unity to support this motion. First of all, Mr. Speaker, misappropriation, misallocation, and illegal drawing of the county finance and revenue, Mr. Speaker, which has been evidenced by this motion, Mr. Speaker, is the great violation of the Constitution, which has been tabled very well by Honorable Rogon, Mr. Speaker, whereby in the Public Finance and Management Act, it is very clear, as a presiding administrator, which is the governor, Mr. Speaker, he has actually refused deliberately and failed and neglected his duties, Mr. Speaker, by allowing the automation of the system, Mr. Speaker, of which, for our people, Mr. Speaker, we are not collecting anything. We are not getting any funds. Mr. Speaker, I have done my calculation here. When you less 359 from 859, Mr. Speaker, you get 500 from health. When you multiply 359, you less 200 from the land, Mr. Speaker, that is from the multinational, you remain with 159. When you also do calculation, 159 divided by 12, Mr. Speaker, every month, Mr. Speaker, we are collecting around 10 million. This is pure lies, Mr. Speaker, in this county. There are so many funds which are being misappropriated by one individual, Mr. Speaker. I want to say the case in point. I come from Kabri Lartet. There is a Sondu market, which has been left, has been neglected, Mr. Speaker. There is nothing going on there. And we have put around 120 million for the construction of a market. The market, Mr. Speaker, is now idle. There's nothing in it. It has never been completed because of misappropriation of this fund, Mr. Speaker. So I stand and say that, Mr. Speaker, we are doing badly in this county, Mr. Speaker, not because of anybody else, because of the county chief officer, who is the governor, Mr. Speaker. He is not doing his role, Mr. Speaker, by not presiding a very good administration which was given. We remember, Mr. Speaker, when the president took over, he introduced an e-citizen in 100 days, Mr. Speaker, whereby all the monies, all the collection are channeled to one account, Mr. Speaker, which is called e-citizen. Why are we failing in this county? Advertisement was done, evaluation was done, and the awarding was done. It was done last year, Mr. Speaker. There's nothing going on. The person who was awarded, Mr. Speaker, because he was not able to give out something, Mr. Speaker, he was denied. And we want to request the PPRA to take over the matter immediately, Mr. Speaker, in terms of revenue system. Mr. Speaker, number two, Mr. Speaker, the issue of violation role. Presiding administration, which has actually disregarded the violation role, which was prepared and approved in this House, Mr. Speaker, in 2019. That means, Mr. Speaker, the person who is heading this county is not looking at the issues which is being passed by this Honorable House, Mr. Speaker. I want to believe that, Mr. Speaker, when a child is born, and when you observe for 3 to 9 months, Mr. Speaker, when you check on the standard growth, there is what is called standard growth. When you observe, there is no growth at all. You have to take that child for specialized medication. That is what we are doing right now, Mr. Speaker. We are putting in a specialized medication to this county, for this county to survive, Mr. Speaker. For our people whom we represent to get jobs. For our people, Mr. Speaker, to get water. For our people, Mr. Speaker, we know Gen Zs are just walking around, Mr. Speaker. They are looking for opportunities to be employed. But, Mr. Speaker, in our county, they are being told there is no job. Yet, one person, 2 people are hitting our money, Mr. Speaker. That is wrong, and we want to make this thing right, Mr. Speaker. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, because I don't want to take much time, there is the issue of misappropriation of public raised funds, which was overseen by the governor, Mr. Speaker, for the Londiani victim. I am one of the members who sat in the Harbor Committee as a vice chair, Mr. Speaker. Okay. Mr. Speaker, we found out that the fund which were collected was not given to the right people, the victim, Mr. Speaker. The national government gave theirs within a 1 week time. But, Mr. Speaker, the county government took over 2 weeks to be able to give out the fundraiser money. That is wrong, Mr. Speaker. And I want to say that justice must be done to this county, Mr. Speaker, and for this county to thrive, Governor must go. Thank you very much, Jesus.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Erick B. The Honorable Fancy Korir, and then I'll give to the Honorable Edna.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me this chance. And I rise to support the motion by Honorable Rogoñ that we must impeach the CEO of this county. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm one of the Committee on Revenue Streams Collection, and we've gone around all the markets, Mr. Speaker, sir, talking to our women, the good women who are selling burgers, and for sure these women are giving out their small contribution, but they are not reaching wherever they are supposed to be. They are being rained on, there are no toilets, and we are continuing to squander their money. Mr. Speaker, sir, this is very wrong. To my first point, the gender bill, which I've been really saying in this honorable house that we must have, and I continue saying that we must have this gender bill, because in our offices, Mr. Speaker, sir, we have the sexual advances, which in every time and again, there is a complaint which has been filed against the office of the governor, and his office forms basis of consideration of removal of office because this is an abuse of office. Mr. Speaker, sir, this is an exploitation of the highest order. This is an abuse of office. Mr. Speaker, sir, the other day we lost one small young girl called Tamara. She was defiled, strangled, and thrown out to the rivers. And up to date, Mr. Speaker, sir, no one in the governor's office has ever even condemned the act, Mr. Speaker, sir. No one has even followed the perpetrator to be in jail, Mr. Speaker, sir. This really gives me a lot of pain because I was nominated as the gender top-up, and I must stand with the daughters of Kericho County, and we must condemn all this, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, this Kericho County, we have a lot of gender-based violence, teenage pregnancies, defilement cases, FGM, and other sexual abuses. Mr. Speaker, sir, in our offices, I'm saying the gender bill because we must enact this bill. And this lies in executive offices, and we are waiting for it because one of the policies which we must have in these offices is the sexual harassment policy. I want to go back to the revenue, Mr. Speaker, sir. We went to Kabianga, Tifam. The laborers are not getting salary, Mr. Speaker, sir. This is another abuse of office, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, this, our hospitals here, where our mothers are going to give birth, this one, when I want to speak about it, it really pains me a lot because, Mr. Speaker, sir, a bed is being shared by 3 women who has given birth. Mr. Speaker, sir, this is very wrong. Our women are suffering in this Kericho County because someone is squandering and really taking our revenue to other businesses which does not touch the lives of these women and men of Kericho County. Mr. Speaker, sir, this is so bad, and I must stand with this motion and support the removal of the governor of Kericho County. Mr. Speaker, sir, I must stand with these members who are in here because we've really supported one another because we need sanity in Kericho County. We really need progress in Kericho County. We must stand with these members up to the last moment. Mr. Speaker, sir, I support the removal of Dr. Mutai in his office. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. God bless you, the members who are in here, because you stood for the rights of these Kericho people, and they will count you in the near future that you said the truth. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. God bless Kericho County.
Thank you, the Honorable Fancy, the Honorable Edna Tanui. Then I'll give to the Honorable Dr. Moses. Okay, fine.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity.
Adjust your mic. Adjust your mic.
To thank
no, adjust your mic close to you.
thank the mover of the motion, Honorable Recon, MCA Sigawet Ward, and also thank the members of County Assembly who have stood firm for the removal of Dr. Mutai, the Governor, Kericho County. Mr. Speaker, sir, when I went through this impeachment motion, I found the articles which I attest today, Mr. Speaker, sir, that in several times that I've gone to the office of the governor Dr. Erick Mutai, on his table, we found the Constitution and the articles of Kericho County on his table. And when I went through, I found the article number 10 of Constitution, section 3 and 16 of the Leadership and Integrity Act 2012, and section 9, 10, and 12 of the Public Officer Ethics Act 2003, established, among others, the rules of law, democracy, human dignity, courtesy, respect, social justice, inclusiveness, equality, human rights, probity, professionalism, and non-discrimination, protection of the marginalized, good governance, transparency, and accountability. I believe, Mr. Speaker, sir, that the governor is aware of all these sections. And it is shocking, Mr. Speaker, sir, that numerous complaints of the governor in the incidents of indecent and unnatural sexual behaviors by female young girls of Kericho County accuses the governor of, for instance, forcing them to unconsented anal sex, dangerous and unprotected sex. I will never be seated here, Mr. Speaker, sir, when I was given a position by the people and women of Kericho County